18th June 2024. We are here live on Smart Means Business, Smart 24 TV. It's always a delight to have you. My name is Kem Chadorin. I'm joined by Mercy, and we're always delighted. We always believe that how you start the day really depends on you. How positive are you? What expectations do you have? Please grab the day, seize today, and let it be a day to remember. So this is Smart Means Business. We're going to be taking you through a couple of things. We're still within the peripherals of the budget. Of course, it's still an exciting moment. We are still looking quite at a number of areas and getting to look at the implications. But just to give you just a sneak peek, we will be looking at economic upliftment for women. We're still getting to have a peek into creating jobs and the skilling of women, especially given that PDM and the SACCOs and all the different areas, the MIOGAs, go to have quite a lot of money being channeled there. Business updates, we will have a look at education as well as training initiatives, lifelong learning for better future. And then when it comes down to business insight, we will have a look at bridging efforts within women programs. Those and much more coming your way. And Mercy, what else do we have in Karibu, East Africa? Do we have something on Uganda, East Africa? What do we have?
Well, of course, good morning, everyone that is tuning on Smart 24 TV. And of course, this is your daily wake-up call here on Smart Men's Business. Well, of course, looking at East Africa, of course, we're going to be looking at, various East African countries usually present their budgets actually in this month or the next.
Yes,
yeah?
yes.
I think it's all over. And of course, we're going to be looking at how government plans to offload shares in state-owned companies still in Kenya. Of course, we're looking at, for budgets, we're looking at Rwanda, we're looking at Uganda, yeah, and of course Uganda has the biggest, the biggest cake of all, 72 trillion. Well, and of course, we shall be looking at how women, now that we're going to talk about how we can uplift women with the household incomes that have been allocated, to be enough for them.
Oh, it won't.
It won't.
And is it being spent appropriately? But just to give you a sneak peek, Mercy, like you mentioned, $19.2 billion, that is Uganda, according to the budgets. We have 18.9 billion that is for Tanzania, and then Rwanda comes in at $4.43 billion. That is their budget. The highest so far is Kenya at $31 billion. And look at let's get to have these comparisons. Really, we will be of course looking at some of the comparisons. $19.2 billion for Uganda, $18.9 billion for Tanzania, as well as coming in at $4.43 billion for Rwanda, dollars for Rwanda. Very cautious, yes.
The economy, the population.
Yes, very, very cautious when you get to compare $4.43 billion and 19.2 for Uganda. But also looking at the fact that Rwanda has really been doing very well. There's got quite a number of awesome strategies that are paying off, especially in tourism and reaching out for particular cash crops, promoting particular cash crops, especially looking at tapping into the export market. But of course, with Uganda, we still have the same inclination towards agro-industrialization, as well as manufacturing sectors being boosted. And you get to see quite a lot of human capital development getting quite amount of money is coming in, but we will have more and more coming in, especially on that. In regards to Mercy, what you were saying, skilling, women's skilling is still something that is being channeled, has quite a lot of support coming in, not only from the government but global entities. And when you get to look at it according to the UNDP Gender Equality Strategy for 2023 to 25, Uganda's gender gap index went up from 0.717 to 0.249 in 2022. The gender gap index measures gender equality based on gaps between women and men across 4 key areas, and that is health, education, economy, as well as politics. And it ranges between 0 to 1. 0, of course, standing for complete inequality, and then 1 standing for complete equality.
So we are
0.72 at the moment, yes, which went up. But you will notice that when it comes to cabinet female representations, representations in cabinet, as well as ministry, and that Uganda has really done so much and should be leading in sub-Saharan Africa. Now, as for us, our particular insistence right now, we will be looking at women skilling. We've had lots of monies being churned into PDM, churned into UEP, churned into the myogas, the SACCOs, which basically have a good representation for women. Are these paying off? What do you think, Mercy? Is it worthwhile?
Yeah, it is actually, because for a long time women have been vulnerable. And what I'm just scared of is that the long run men are going to be I mean, no one is going to fight for their rights at the end of the day. Yes. But I like the fact that, you know, we are getting from the cultural norms that we're used to, now we are embracing equality, that a woman is equally equipped, has the same knowledge that a man has, to be able to represent a constituency, to be able to be a CEO, to be able to be a manager. I mean, yes, because we all do have the same education. I mean, what sets us apart from men, okay? It's just that maybe when it comes to risky jobs, but we've seen women do risky jobs, you know, they're climbing off the top of the roofs, cleaning.
Yes.
So I like the fact there is inclusivity.
Yes.
All the organizations, the companies, the government entities are having women included.
Yeah.
And because they're the women drive economies.
That is true. And considering that women form quite a number of the population, Uganda's population, and then when it comes down to Uganda being, you know, farming, in regards to farming, they also really form quite a big percentage of those. Actually, they are the drivers behind, unpaid, unrecognized in most cases, but they still do quite a lot. Now, we still, even as we're looking at the skilling, women, economic upliftment, recently we had officials coming from the GROW project, which has really been insistent, not even just looking at skilling of women, but as well as the men as well. You also have the presidential skilling initiatives that looks at the girl child, but also looks at the boy child. So whereas some of the sentiments, they've been negative sentiments and concerns in regards to the boy child being left out, we're getting to see more and more women socioeconomic empowerment programs really now looking at also the boy child, yes, and as well as not excluding the male, the men from all this, which comes in handy because at the end of the day, both genders operate within the same system. But when we come down to looking at skilling, yes, we want to get down into the nitty-gritties for this. Let's have a recap on this. 2.4 trillion according to this 2024-25 budget, given to particularly 105 billion given to PDM. We have 100 billion going to Emyoga, and we have 50 billion going to microfinance support center. We also have 1.878 going to trillion going to agro-industrialization, as well as 2.023 going to private sector development. Now, of these, PDM still going on. We also know the myogas are still there. We know there's quite a considerable chunk of these supporting women. But we also know that when it comes down at the end of the day, even as we are looking at skilling women and being able to have them start from something and start up their same businesses, other reports coming in globally show that if you are able to give a vocational skilling to mentees, get them the right skill sets and be able to give them some money as well, startup capital, 73%. Yes, 73% will have a higher success rate than when you don't give them any startup, money.
I think that's the only issue that we are facing apparently. But it's just.
But when it comes to this not even just an issue, because now you see lots of money being channeled, yes, to them. So whereas you have the skilling going on, Grow Project has so many women and men that is skilling right now. You also know that they can easily have access to financing from these different circles and emiogas, which will show. But the most important thing about it is that 73% will be able to start up something if you will be able to give them some startup capital.
Yeah, I do agree actually, because now, other than the skill, but you see, actually, I think we should just dwell with the mindset of you're waiting for, maybe depending on how big you want to start. Yeah, I guess. But I believe if you want to start small, let's say you've been doing crochet, we'll need thread and what is it, a hook,
whatever you need.
Yes, you start with one sweater, you sell it. That's how you because not everyone, I would say, this is just the truth. It's not like government is going to come in for everyone.
Not really. But you must have a backbone. You must have some support. Mercy, have you ever found yourself, let's even get personal, have you ever found yourself with all these wonderful skills and the passion and drive, but you don't have the money? Access to financing, you don't have the money.
Yes.
You have this wonderful idea.
It is, there is wonderful ideas, but then you look for ways of, how to get your own capital.
Yes.
Because there'll be moments when they'll be like, you know what, this year we are not whatsoever, budgeting for ABC, and how are you going to survive?
Yeah.
Okay? We should because even if you went to the microfinance institutions or went to the banking institutions, you know how they perceive women.
Yes.
In terms of giving them loans. You don't have collateral. You're just probably a widow or something. You just, how do they even start? And you're not even sure yourself of the kind of business you want to set up. You're not even sure if it's going to grow in the expected time.
Yeah. But the reality is you'd rather have better access. Women would rather have better access to financing. And when it comes down to the different attitudes, really, that continue to impede, really constrain women access to financing, especially from the financial institutions, there are particular commitments going on with particular banks right now in Uganda to change the narrative. Not every woman who is going to come in is going to be disorganized, is going to be, it doesn't know what she's doing. No, instead of berating her and putting her down, you'd rather hold her hand, support her, and let her know, you know what, we are going to be able to give you ABCD only if you have these documents in place. If you don't have these documents in place, we can't be able to support you and give you an unsecured loan. But for you to access that, can you do something about your financial records? This is how you do it. If you want to be able to move from tier 1 and get to tier 2 into maybe now value addition, we can connect you to the right stakeholders. Instead of telling them, see a woman come into the door of the bank, through the doors, and then immediately begin to berate her and even take her further, away from her confidence. The little confidence, if she came in with it at 57%, just from the way you talk to her and the way you berate her, you mean you've been in existence for all this time, 10 years, and you don't have any concrete, what do you want us to do with you? Her 57 confidence level just goes swooping down to around 35%. But commitment Ugandans actually saying these particular measures are going to dip further into your wallet. So tighten, tighten, because a couple of things that were maybe at 3,000 are going to get further up, and you won't have quite a lot of money at your disposal. But coming in within the new vision, 35 MPs face arrest in fresh probe. Some concern coming in as well. Remember, the president has been very vocal on corruption, and we're beginning to see quite a number get caught within that particular trap. There have been investigations. The case involves re-arrested legislator Kamba. Some not so good news coming in there. Uganda's First Lady hosts Kenya's Rachel Ruto. A number of things were talked within these meetings. They had a fruitful engagement focusing on critical issues affecting women and children in their respective countries. President experts discuss strategy to enhance Uganda's mineral sector. There's been quite a lot of really outlook towards the Uganda's mineral sector. There is, of course, talks about future collaboration and a 3-phase plan in that. Some news as well, Idi Aduha, that was yesterday. Muslims commend government over Islam banking, and they are urged to embrace PDM. Happy belated. Yes, it indeed. But of course, the Smart 24 TV definitely welcomes all Muslims and members of the different fraternities, and urges them to keep going on and making wise decisions. Everyday heroes celebrating the service of Dr. Edward Kasidye, and then you have lots and lots more coming in. Senior lands official, 2 others charged with land grabbing. Get your new vision, and that will help you go through to find out what is happening nationally and internationally.
Well, of course, here coming in the Daily Monitor, and of course yesterday as our friends the Muslims were celebrating the Eid, where they, it's a feast. This one is more feasting. Yeah, and of course I'm looking here at very soon, just in a few days, it's going to be a symposium. Yeah, where there will be unlocking your business potential at the MSME. Yeah, so please, if you have a business, small enterprise, micro, be there, because here you're going to see how breaking the barriers of these MSMEs acceleration. So please be there on the 27th at Hotel Africana. You never know, you may get tips. We've been talking about business every day, and now the barriers, how you can overcome the different barriers in your businesses. And of course, looking here at mental health, addressing the crisis at workplaces. We talked about it the other week, and of course, still more emphasis has been on it lately. Well, of course, looking at how Uganda is on phase 1 of the traffic works to end in August. Yeah, there is need for order in our busy city. Yeah, of course, if there is no order, that means there's going to be chaos, lots of accidents happening. And of course, looking here, entrepreneurship, vocation training programs need more investment. This is what we've been talking about, need for more investment away from, you have the skills, you know how to make the shoe. So what, are you going to sit back and wait for someone to come in? Yes. And of course, looking at how Uganda is one of the youngest countries in the world. Youngest population, with 78% of its population below the age of 30. Can it be 78%?
Yes, that is so true. That is true. That's
really crazy. So I can imagine now those, where are they going? Because now, every now and again, our universities, layouts, graduates, they're all out there.
Yes.
Some with no skills, some with
very low life skills.
Yeah. So the survival is on. There is a little competition from those the graduates and those from vocational schools. Those are the ones for vocational, benefit a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Because they're skills oriented, and now you get to have more and more employers looking at particularly the skills. And this has been some of the concern and some of the jokes that have been moving around the sector, because they will get to say, if you are looking at any advert, they will be saying you must have that degree and 2 years experience. So where does this come in?
I mean, you expect me to be a bachelor's holder and I have 2 years experience. Probably if you talk about internship and maybe other things. Yeah, well, of course, youth unemployment in Uganda is, according to UBOS, the youth unemployment rate stood at approximately 13.3% in 2020. 13.3%. Yeah, so that means every 20, 13 unemployed. So you can imagine.
That's a huge number. That's a huge number, really.
Yeah.
But it also shows you that it's no longer just the narrative. The narrative is changing. It's no longer business as usual. You have quite a number of youth right now embracing vocational skilling. You have quite a number of them actually having preferences. And sometime back, a couple of weeks back, Mercy, we talked about the fact that in most cases you have those ones that are actually even opting out of going for advanced A-levels. Yes, in schools, and deciding that the moment I finish my O-levels, I'm going to just immediately join for vocational skilling. So that gives you a little bit of a sneak peek into the urgency in which they have to get skills, but also, is that detrimental, is that good, is that bad? Because you get to see the others urging them, no, please finish A-level, there is something A-level adds to you, but they're saying, no, we don't have the money. That's number one for A-level, but also number two, the employers out there asking for skills. So why would I do A-level when they're being, you know, you have that, you have two different.
It also depends on the skills you're going in for.
If it is something like nursing, you've got quite a number actually getting out of that. S4 direct straight into nursing school for their diploma or certificate.
I feel like you do.
And then also agriculture services, you know, agricultural training. We also have some of them just getting out of O-level, after O-level, S4 direct and going for a certificate and then building up on that. So some of these actually get to give you just a sneak peek, just a little bit of a hint into what is out there in the labor markets. Yes, the urgency, not only the high level of poverty, where they come in and say, I don't have money to push me further for A-level, but also the fact that even when they have finished A-level or gone into university, those are maybe 5 years, they still have no significant skills to be hired immediately. So they're saying, I would rather have my 3 years or 2 years immediately after S4 so that I can dive in and start getting that necessary skill as I'm paid. You see? That's what the majority is.
So what do you think of people who, you know, go for further studies, you know? Because now, I think that will be a discussion of some other day, but then, you know, we have, it's common now. You finish university and probably sit at home for a year and you feel nothing, you go for
back to school.
Yes, you go back to school.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is that? I don't understand it actually, because at the end of the day, some employees will be like, you're overly qualified, you know, and we cannot pay you because first of all, the time would have taken to have experience, you've been in school. Yeah. So you find yourself having more qualification, but with no
particular skills.
Or particular skills or experience.
And I think this is what some have been saying, that our education system in the past, not even looking at right now the awesome part about vocational skilling, our predominantly large fixation with our education system has been more into job seekers and not the job creation part. But you will notice that in the last couple of years, the number of graduates or youth actually, whether in school or out of school, have been told over and over, get into the mindset of job creation. If you have, and this is why they're pushing them rather into different areas whereby they can do something. You have lots of parents right now, if your kid finishes P7, immediately go and learn a skill. Yes? So you're not only just relying on your papers and the fact that you've finished this. For the youth that actually get to finish, whether it's finishing your bachelor's, immediately you should be getting into the mindset right now of how can I apply this? How can I apply this? And then you of course have different facilities that right now are working with the youth, particular hubs, creative hubs all over the place that encourage the different youth to come in and tap into their facilities and help them polish their ideas. So let's move, let's have a shift away from just looking for jobs, but rather creating the jobs. I think you'll get more support in that department.
Well, of course, here the Permanent Secretary of Finance, Treasury, to be precise, that is Mr. Ramadan Gobi, said that government borrows locally to save some of these banks. And of course, in a statement, it says banks are sitting on a mountain of money, of which government only borrows the excess. Yeah. Now, of course, he said last Friday that the government will borrow 5 trillion shillings domestically to finance this year's budget, 2024-2025 budget, noting that before borrowing, a lot of considerations are taken, among them surpassing business growth. So they're borrowing in domestic banks 9 trillion. 9 trillion. Yeah. Well, Ghana must be rich. Oh, honestly.
It shows you the predicament, really. But then when it comes down to that, apart from government internal borrowing and all that, the reality about it is that more and more Ugandans are still being locked out. Yes, the interest rates are so high, so high, and when it comes down to paying those monies back, especially post-pandemic, we get to see a number of business people still saying, you know what, business is not back, it's not back to usual as yet, so can you be a little bit more lenient? Whereas the banks are also saying, can you pay back this money? And they're still encouraging others, can you come in and pay back? When it comes down to the agriculture credit facility, the SCF, we've had concerns and reports that most of these monies are not really being taken. They're not being taken by agriculturalists, and yet the monies are there. But no agriculturalist is taking up.
I don't know.
Yes,
people
and then
you're scared of paying.
There's that part whereby there is the fear because of the interest rates, which are seemingly still high. But then you of course have the different stringent, you know, all the ABCDs, 100 of them that you must have in place before you are able to access. And these are really farmers who are coming up and saying, I've been in dairy farming for over 30 years. Yes, and you're still saying I'm incapable, yes, of paying this money back. That has been some of the concerns. So when you're talking about banks sitting on money that is underutilized, maybe some of the different issues should come into play, and they should come and tell us why they aren't lending people money. They should tell us
why they're not lending, or they're willing to lend, but people do not want to borrow.
No, but if at all you have feedback, I think, Mercy, if you have feedback that the people that you are cajoling and saying, come and take this money, are saying your prices are still, the interest rates are still so high, that's number one. And then number two, the way in which you get to maybe, if I'm having a little bit of a business upheaval and business is not going very well, the way you collect your monies back is worrying. That should be a way maybe that the banks can reconsider that and make amendments. And if the third part is if at all someone comes up and says, the client comes and says that that the things that you ask for, the different necessities to access this bank are too many. Why can't you come in? That is feedback. Why can't you come in and do something about that? Feedback is always there. Mercy, these banks
should give them for free, just for a trial. First in 1 million for free, then the next round should be, because that's the only thing I feel, because people want free things. I mean, it's for this time.
There is no free money, Mercy. There is no, forget about it.
Fine, there would be. Okay, fine. If you're not able to pay, if you're investing into agriculture, can we have a certain percentage of our produce? It could work. Yeah, for someone feels like 1 million is a lot, but when you say give me like 10% of your produce, I'm like, oh, okay, because they do not understand the dynamics of it actually.
No. Explain further. Explain further. So if a farmer wants maybe 100 million, from a bank, their negotiation platform should be, the bank should say,
if you're
yes,
not able to pay up the loan, let's have a certain percentage of your produce.
After harvest. Are banks really willing to do that?
No, I would say, I'm just suggesting that could be it.
No, because assumedly some of the vagaries, sometimes there's drought, other times. Suppose even the intended, who is going to back on, who is going to back on that? And that is such a high risk. It's even, because even the particular 30% that you're saying is out of, give me your harvest, may not even show up. So those are some of the issues that continuously come in for farmers, as well as other different persons wishing to access financing. We'll have much more discussion on that, but right now, let's get into a short break.